Hello everyone and welcome back to Georgia Paper Crafts. Today I'm working with the July 2019 Simon Says Stamp Card Kit, Be Yourself. Let's take a quick look at this card kit. It includes the following items. Now I'm not going to be saying it exactly as you're seeing me touch it on the screen, but it does include one glue sponge. It includes 3 exclusive Simon Says Stamp foilable cards. So these cards are pre-made with a toner that react to foil. A Simon Says Stamp Hexagon Wafer Thin die. 12 double-sided sheets of Honeybee Stamp The Bee's Knees 6x6 paper. 1 package of Simon Says Stamp black and yellow sequins. 5 pieces of Thermoweb Deco foil rainbow shattered glass foil sheets. 1 Simon Says Stamp Be Yourself 6x8 clear stamp set. Simon Says Stamp Cardstock in Sunshine Sea Glass, black and white, and also 1 white envelope. Alright, so starting out with cards 1 through 3. I decided I would go ahead and make the easiest cards first. I used the pre-printed cards that had the toner, black toner ink on it that you could just foil. So here you can see I'm using some of the Deco foil rainbow sheets that came in the kit, along with one that I added from my stash because I thought that I didn't want quite a shattered glass looking on the rainbow, so I kind of pieced each area that I wanted a certain color by cutting some of the foil up. I did this individually for each card that I did. I ran each through the machine on level 3 to help get everything nice and foiled. And as you can see, all 3 of them turned out really nice. Now, I thought I had filmed myself making these cards, but for some reason I did not. I guess I didn't turn my phone on. So I cut down cardstock of the sea glass, the sunshine, and then I also used some pink from my stash, and I made those into A2 size cards, and I attached the foiled pieces after I cut them out with the stitch rectangle die to the cardstock. I added some rainbow gems, gems from my stash, and that was pretty much it. Easy cards, and here they are. Cards 1 through 3. These are very easy to make and lots of fun, lots of shimmer. Alright, so moving on to card number 4, I decided to go ahead and take a piece of the pattern paper, as you can see up here to the top, and I cut it with one of my scallop stitch dies. Then I went ahead and stamped out one of the bees, and I'm coloring him, and I colored them with YR23 and Y35 for the yellow part. For the black, I used some cool grays in C7 and C9. I told you wrong. I said I did that. I think I did. I used those colors on another one. This one I obviously used warm gray colors, and I used W7 and W9. Sorry, I have another B later on in the thing that I colored with the C markers. I colored in the wings. I believe this is BG00. I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut this bee out. Oh, after I highlight his eyes with a little bit of black gel pen. And I'll save you from my terrible cutting skills. So what I'm showing you here is that I initially cut this down with a stitch rectangle die, and then I used my scallop border die to cut that in half. I'm going to mat it on some of the Sunshine cardstock. I'm just laying out here in my MISTI how I want to do my stamping. I decided I better go ahead and glue down the pattern paper before I start stamping. So I'm going to glue it down to where I just have a little bit of a border of that Sunshine ink, or not ink, Sunshine cardstock sticking through there in the middle. Placing my sentiments there. I'm going to ink it up with some VersaFine black onyx ink. I used the sentiments that said, "You're the bee's knees and thanks for being there." I'll find where I like to put my bee. Go ahead and use the stamp of the, gosh, I don't even know what to call that, but of its trail, I guess I should say. Go ahead and stamp that. And I just clean my stamps off real quick with a little bit of a dry cloth, and it comes off pretty clean. Alright, so here I'm just going to go ahead and adhere it to a pre-made card base. I had gone ahead and made 10 A2 size card bases from my using some white paper from my stash. I'm going to go ahead and glue down the bee. Go around his glasses and his eyes, nose, just to, with a black gel marker, just to try to help it stand out a little bit more. Then I decided I wanted to use a little bit of embellishment, so I pulled out some of the yellow and black sequins that came in the kit, and I'm just placing them on the card where I think it would look good, using my crystal katana to try to help me place them. I really like this tool. It really works well. I have a jewel picker also, but I seem to have lost a little tackiness on that. So I don't really use it that often anymore. And I'm just putting these around randomly. I know people say to put a certain amount, you know, certain odd number, draws your eye, that kind of thing. I just put whatever I think looks good. And here I'm going to add a little bit of gold stickles, just a little bit into the center of the sequins. I think it just helps it add a little bit of a pop. I also like to put a small little dot just on the outside of the sequin. Alright, and there we go. That card is done. So moving on to card number 5. I pulled this out from my stash. This is not included in the kit, but I really wanted to use it. So this is the Peel and Stick toner sheets from Deco Foil. So pretty much it's just a black sheet. You could die cut shapes or images out of it, whatever you wanted. But I went ahead and cut it down using a A2 size rectangle, stitch rectangle die. And then I ran it through my Mink machine with the foil, the rainbow foil from Deco Foil that did come in the kit, and that's what you saw. It came out beautiful. Now here I'm using some black cardstock just to heat emboss. I'm using black cardstock. I stamped Be Yourself using clear sticky ink, and I'm going to use some embossing powder, some gold embossing powder from Simon Says Stamp to emboss that, and of course I made a mess. Got that all cleaned up, and then I'm going to heat this up and get it to melt. Love the way that looks. Cut that down using a stitch rectangle die. Again, my favorite well-used stitch rectangle dies are from Lawn Fawn. I have both the small and the large set. Now I pulled out some of the bees, and I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to ink them up with some clear embossing ink, put them on the black cardstock, and use the same gold embossing powder to cover them, and then heat them up and melt the embossing ink. I really like this gold embossing powder on black cardstock. I think it really is stunning. Gives a stunning look, especially when it's all heated up and nice and shiny. Now what I want to do, and if you've watched my videos before, you've seen I've used these a lot. These are my Fine Tech metallic watercolors. I love these on dark cardstock. It gives such a beautiful look. I'll have a link below to the kind that I'm using. But what I'm doing here is I just put a little bit of water into each of the colors that I'm going to use, and as you can see, I'm just painting in a rainbow form, you know, in the color scheme. Just trying to cover the whole bee word, just in rainbow format here, going from red to orange to yellow. Actually, I should have gone red. No, it is red, orange, yellow, yeah. And anyway, just doing that in that format. And I'm not using a lot of water because, again, this is not watercolor cardstock, so it can't tolerate a lot of water. But you don't need a lot. All I need is just a touch, just to make that paint move. And as you can see here, I'm doing the same with the bees. I'm doing it in rainbow color format, just giving them a cute little rainbow look. Doing it on both of them. At first I wasn't sure how I wanted to paint their faces, but I eventually went back and colored them the same color as the wings. And you'll see that here in just a second. And I changed it up a little bit. One of them has a purple, one has more of a reddish purple look to it on the wings. Once I'm finished with that, I'll go ahead and fussy cut them out using my scissors. Now here, I guess I forgot that this was peel and stick toner paper, and I went ahead and glued it down. Yeah, I totally forgot, but that's okay. It's still stuck just fine. But isn't that gorgeous, the way that came out? I love that shattered glass looking foil paper. It really is pretty stunning. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this panel piece that says Be Yourself using foam tape to it. Pop it up just a little bit. And then I'm going to add the bees on the side of it, one on the top and one on the bottom, just to help frame it up. There we go. And I decided not to add any other embellishments, as I thought I wasn't going to, but I guess I did. I added some of these rainbow rhinestone from my stash that I used previously. They were sitting on the desk, so that's probably why I used them. I just put a few around to add a little bit of extra sparkle. And there's that card. This is actually my favorite card that I made from this set. Alright, now moving on. This is card number 6. I'm working on Bristol Smooth cardstock here, and I'm just, I pulled out all the bee stamps, individual bee stamps. And I'm just stamping them around, and I know you can't see it because I'm stamping with the Versamark clear ink pad. Except for you could maybe see that little one there where I didn't clean off the bee stamp real well from previously when I had stamped it with black, so you can kind of see the outline there. But once I stamp them all around, I'm going to go ahead and pour some white embossing powder on there. This is Brutus Monroe Alabaster embossing powder. And I'm going to get that heated up and melted. Now the sentiment in the middle says just because. And I just filled it in, those bees all around it. Getting it heated up, and again, I'm so sorry, but you can't see it. The camera doesn't capture it real well with the light, and because it is embossed in white, you can't really see it. Just kind of filling in some areas here. And then I'm going to take some of the hearts that were also on the stamp set and just fill in some of the other blank areas there. I'll repeat the same process where I stamp them with the Versamark ink and then coat them with the white embossing powder. I can see it there. And once I get all that heated up, I'll pull out some of my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers to begin coloring. And the colors are listed below, what I'm using. I have really sped through this because it did take me a while to do. I'm not using any water on this cardstock, although you could add the markers and then pull it out using water. What I like to do is add my darkest and then pull out the dark color with my lightest. That's the way I like to shade using these. And you can see I'm just starting doing some of these. Won't let you see the full process of me doing this because again it's pretty repetitive, but I do let you see me do the majority of it. What you don't see is me coloring in the hearts, and I believe covering the area with some of the green mist that the green color that I did to kind of outline some of it. You'll see once we get to that. What I did realize is that these markers do stay wet for a little while, and if you're not careful, you will smudge it. You will see that I did unfortunately do a little bit of smudging. Tried not to, but that's probably where maybe if you used water and pulled it out and used the water, it wouldn't smudge as much. I don't know, but this I still like the look. You know, I was still okay with it with a few smudges. And of course, again, this makes it look like I was super fast in coloring this. I was not. I'm actually quite slow in coloring this, and this is just sped up. I decided, okay, I should just go and do all the same things at once. You know, at first you start to fill in just one, and then you go to the next, and you're like, I need to do this more like use all my yellow at once, and then color all my black areas at once, so on and so forth. Makes it go a little bit faster. Alright, so here you can see the finished coloring with the red hearts and the green background there. Now I went ahead and matted that onto a sunshine cardstock, and I put that onto one of the pre-made card bases. I'm using the same rainbow rhinestones that I had already had out. I hadn't put away, so I'm just picking some here that match. Attaching them using some glue and my crystal katana. So you'll be able to see in the close-up pictures some of the areas that I smudged a little bit, but in general I'm really quite happy with how this card turned out. And there's the finished card there. Okay, so moving on to card number 7, I cut one of the pattern papers into a frame, and the frame that I used was from MFT, and it cuts this outer frame portion and it also cuts the inner portion. So I also cut this same frame from white cardstock, because I used the white cardstock to stamp my image here, which is the two bees holding hands and the meant to be sentiment. Here you see me coloring, and I'm using the colors that I had said before, except for this time I think I am using the C markers. And I did speed this up because it's a little boring watching me color in these bees. But they're pretty easy to color, which is always good. Yeah, these are where I use the C markers. Once I'm done with that, I am gonna use a BG70 marker for the wings, and I'm gonna go around the outside of the bees with a C marker. I believe this is a C1 marker, and it just helps define the bees a little bit more. Now, because I said I cut the frame die with the white paper and the pattern paper, I decided I'd layer it together just to kind of bump it up just a little bit more. So you saw me putting them together. And here I'm attaching it to my pre-made card base. And the good thing about cutting this all together is that it fits perfectly right in there. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of do the finishing touches on the bees. Highlight their eyes with a little bit of black gel pen, put a little highlights using my white gel pen, and then I attached a red heart from my stash right in the middle, and I'm going to pull out some of those sequins again that came in the kit. Just going to place them around, doing my same routine of putting them down first, deciding where I want them to go, and then using my crystal katana and glue just to get them put down. Again, I'll do the same thing where I use my stickles just to fill in a little dot in the middle and one to the side of it. And that's it for that card. Turned out pretty cute. Alright, now for this next card, card number 8, I took that same toner paper that I had from my stash, and I'm cutting it using the Hexagon die that came in the set. So this is going to allow me to put some of the foil paper on this die cut. You'll see what I mean in just a second. So luckily I was able to, the die cut is small enough that I was able to use my sidekick. And here you can see that I went ahead and put them down. I ran them through my ink machine, foil machine, using some of the foil that came in the kit. It all got stuck there. So I did the outline portion, and I also did the inside portion, the pieces that come out from the die cut. Now the ones that I'm putting to the side here didn't quite foil real well. There were still some black areas, so I decided I'd try to run that through again and maybe get it fully covered. It never seems to work real well when you do that, but I decided I'd go ahead and try. Now what I also did was I cut down a piece of the sea glass cardstock, and now I remember that this was peel and stick. So I went ahead and pulled that back adhesive off, and I'm just putting this in a pattern across that piece of sea glass cardstock that I had previously cut down. Just making it into a pattern. And I'll cut off the excess here. And initially I wasn't sure if I'd use it in the landscape or the portrait way, but eventually I decided I would put it in the portrait style. Now these are beads that I had previously colored, and you can see some more off to the side. I cut them off camera, and I had cut them out, leaving a thin white border. Again, I don't do a great job with that, but I thought it turned out okay. I'm going to go ahead and adhere these to the card base near the trail that I had stamped. I thought this needed a little bit more color, so I decided to back it with some of the black cardstock that came in the kit. Just kind of give it a little bit more of a pop. Cut that down. And now I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the pre-made card base. And the sentiment I stamped there is, things will be okay. Doing my finishes and touches with my black and white gel pen. I also added a little color to the cheeks and some highlighting on the body. And here I decided just to use a little bit of the gold stickles and randomly put them around. And that's the finished card. Now this one, I was starting to run out of ideas a little bit. So this one, turned out a lot better than I initially thought. I cut down some of the pattern paper here where it has a gradient of hexagon shapes going from the yellow to the black. And then I added another piece of the pattern paper right in the center of that darker yellow. And then I'm adding that to a black card base, not card base, but cardstock. And I'm gonna, right in the middle, I'm gonna stamp just because. And I decided I want to fill that in a little bit, just because I thought it needed a little bit more color. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out my gel pens here. These are from Craft. You might have seen me if you've used these, if you see me do other videos. Initially I thought I would do some yellow, then maybe a little bit of orange, and neither of the pens were working real well. So I just pulled out the black one and I started coloring this in. And it gives it, it's almost like a glittery look. So it's a glitter gel pen. And I like the way it turned out. I thought it looked really well. Now once I'm finished with that, I will get the bees adhered. And again, these are bees that I had cut out, or colored and cut out previously off camera, just to save a little bit of time. Get them adhered. And then I decided, you know what, I need to do a little something with all these foiled inner hexagon pieces. So I just kind of putting them around, placing them, and then I'll glue them down. And I thought this really added a nice little touch to the card. I liked how this turned out. kind of gave it that extra little shimmer. And here you can see I decided, let me try this glue sponge. Now I had previously kind of had this turned upside down so that some of the glue would come to the top, and it worked fairly well. I mean, I just kind of, you know, tapped it on there, then put it onto the cardstock, and it held well. So I'm looking forward to using this a little bit more. Now once I am finished with that, I'll attach that whole piece to a pre-made card, and that'll be it for card number 9. Last card. Alright, again, kind of strung out for ideas with this. Used a piece of pattern paper, cut it down, just slightly smaller than an A2 size. Adhered a piece of this other floral pattern paper from the set and a stripe going in the portrait setting, and I used some of my tape from my stash. This is gold tape that I just have, and I just kind of outlined that to help give it a little bit more definition. I cut down a smaller rectangle, white rectangle, stitch rectangle, and I stamped the 2 little bees holding hands, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment that says "We belong together." First, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and color these bees, and I'm going to use the same colors that I used previously. Nothing exciting here, just same old coloring. Do the same thing with this one, where I go around the outline with it. This is a little bit darker C marker, just to help it stand out a little bit more. Color in the wings a little bit. Add a little bit of pink to the cheeks. My usual white dots, some of the highlights. Darken the eyes with my black gel pen. I'm going to go ahead and mat this onto some of the sea glass cardstock and cut it out. I think it adds a lot when you mat this kind of stuff. Initially I thought I'd be able to cut it using my scissors, but a lot of times I wind up not cutting it real straight. And here is where I'll go ahead and stamp the "We belong together" below it. I'm going to go ahead and adhere that piece of pattern paper to some sea glass cardstock that I had cut out to help mat it. Adhere that to a pre-made white card base. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this flat down to the card. Use some of the sequins from the card kit. Again, this yellow, black, and silver. No, not silver, gold. Place them, and then I'll adhere them down. Decided I'd go ahead and stamp a heart in the middle. Kept wanting to stick to my finger there. Color that in with some red markers. Then I decided I wanted to, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of the gold stickles there. And now this is where I wanted to put a little bit of shimmer and shine onto the heart. Initially tried to use my crystal glaze. It was clogged. Then I started using this one. It was clogged too. I'm having a hard time trying to get it unclogged. So eventually I got a little bit to come out, enough that I was able to cover it. And that finished off that card. I hope you enjoyed watching me make these cards from the Simon Says Stamp July 2019 card kit. I thank you for joining me, and I hope that you will give me a thumbs up if you like these videos, and subscribe to my channel to see more videos. Thanks again, and have a good day.